Self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you don't control what you think, you can't control what you do. In this world that's filled with so much noise and information, how do we really stand out and be who we were really meant to be? In this podcast, we focus on injecting you with positivity, optimism, and strategies, all centered around helping you be who you were always meant to be in business and life. Be inspired to show up in your own skin to learn strategies, habits, and skills from others as we share our own life journeys and stories. There's no other you, and you know yourself better than anyone else. So be prepared to take away habitual tidbits, tactics that will encourage you to pursue and live your life, not the one others want you to live. Welcome to Stand Out Be You, where you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be you. Yes, this is Tequila Dodard, and welcome to another episode of Stand Out Be You. It's an episode where it's just you and me, and you know I love when this happens. So listen up. On the previous episodes, we've had the opportunity to speak with our guest from different parts of the world. And there is another area that all of our guests have in common. Do you know what it is? Each one of them has a story. And as you know, Stand Out Be You is about capturing the story of you. Now, because I love to not only hear and tell stories, today I thought it would be a great idea to speak in more detail about the art of storytelling. Why? Because I find stories to be engaging and fascinating, and we all have one. Now, as always, before we dig in, just as a reminder, if you have questions for me or any requests for a topic that you would like for me to discuss here on the show, I'm always happy to listen. Oh, and if you have a story, let's hear it. You can leave me a message at tequiladodard.com. Yes, you can go there to my website, click the red voicemail button that's on the right side of the screen, and leave me a voice message. I would love to hear your voice and your ideas. Okay, let's start talking about story. The other day at dinner, as normal, my husband and my little mini people, mini me, or mini my husband, mini us, we were all sitting there, and as usual, we were telling stories, and I love to tell stories to the kiddos because it just changes up their demeanor and it helps relax them from the day, especially if it's a story about family travel or even more so a story about them when they were babies. They absolutely love it. Storytelling is universal, and it's existed since the beginning of time. So, my question to you is, why do we love stories? Well, in researching, it's stated that the human mind simply loves stories. Stories make us all relatable. Just like the characters in a movie, we see ourselves in certain aspects of the story's characters. We can identify and empathize with them. For example, we love ourselves a rags to riches story, right? There are many movies, authors, and businesses that tell this classic story. The hero is down and out. Everything was against them. They didn't know where to turn or what to do next. And they were at rock bottom when motivation and inspiration came knocking at the door. This sparked an idea that led them to finding the business whose content you're reading right now. This is a rousing story that follows the classic conflict to resolution plot arc. So, stories, what do they really do? They grab our attention. You may not realize it, but stories are around us constantly. You hear stories of heroism on the news. You watch fictional stories on Netflix. Your best friend shares your story about her day. Using stories is a powerful communication technique. It gives readers and the listeners, or if you have a website, your visitors a reason to pay attention. They will pause and they will listen. They want to know what's going to happen next and how the story will end. Stories make people feel good. I love hearing a good old-fashioned story, and I especially love telling ones that I can get a good laugh out of people. When we tell our stories, we create a feeling of belonging. Not only do stories create conversation, they also help the people feel like they belong. I just last week had a friend tell me how great I made her feel from telling her a personal story that she had related to from many months ago. Now, I forgot I even told her the story, and I had no idea I had touched her, but I did, and it was my story that did that. Every day, our community is bombarded with ideas of what we should look like, how we should parent, what we should wear, this or that, how we should say this, what we should eat, how we should eat, and on and on. And goodness, we can't get away from it, especially if we're on social media, right? But when we really peel back the layers of the onion and we share the story, allowing others to really peek behind our curtain, it creates that bond. Suddenly, your people feel like they're not alone anymore. They can look at your work, your blog, your business, and proudly say, "She gets me." Since we mentioned blogging, let's talk about that a little bit. Stories also work well because they're exciting and engaging. You can take any content that may be slightly boring, dull, or dry, and weave it together with another story and make it much more exciting and dramatic. Because storytelling works so well, why is it that we love TED Talks so much? We love it because it's full of stories. TED Talks often present very difficult and technical information, but it's put together in a very personalized story from the presenter, which gives it more life. We all are natural storytellers at heart, but sometimes it's hard to discover the stories that will help our businesses or build our relationships, stir emotions, and even engage our customers. When it comes to business, we often forget to tell our stories, and this is a shame because stories are one of the best ways to connect with customers and encourage them to take action. In business, we often focus so much on the numbers, which I will say, numbers are very important, and I love to look at the stats. However, the objective data that we find in facts and figures, product features, charts, technology, and engagement, all of that through social media, while they are important, I'll have to tell you, storytelling is just as important. Storytelling reaches people on an emotional level. It can take your life or business to the next level. Stories communicate to the listener exactly what you do and what you stand for in life. Therefore, it's essential to craft compelling stories both about yourself and your business. Okay, so because I love storytelling so much and I love to share and hear stories, I too can use practice in making sure that my stories are great. We all can, right? So I'm going to be adding to this episode so that we both can actually become better in telling our stories, and therefore we'll become better in our business and life. So I'm going to be adding to this episode, so be sure to subscribe, because on the next show, I'm going to dive deeper into storytelling and how we can improve in telling our stories in both business and life. Until the next show, remember to always stand out, be you, and that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on Stand Out Be You podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you could take the time to share this episode with someone you think would be touched as well, please go ahead and do so. Or if you know of anyone that has a good story that needs to be shared, then go ahead, let them know as well to reach out to me. Also, if you are motivated to do so, please go ahead and leave a great review. I would so appreciate it. And tell us what you think about what you've been hearing. Also, you can leave me a voicemail by going to tequiladodard.com. It will help us so much with keeping this podcast going and helping to reach more people. Until next time, remember to stand out, be you, and that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you.